man. So can you introduce yourself to the audience, link them with all your social media pages that you use?
Facts. What's going on, guys? My name is Adversity, and you can find me everywhere on social media at Adversity627.
Hey, and what's the 627? Is there any significance to it?
Birthday.
Hey, so it's
Yeah,
coming up
sir.
soon, right?
Yeah, June 27th. We got a few weeks.
Hey,
23.
happy early birthday, man.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
So what was life like growing up before you got involved in music? Because you got involved in music, late high school, you said in one of your other interviews?
Yep. Yeah, I started basically the process of like figuring out how to rap and all the logistics and really like writing songs in 2015, which was my senior year of high school.
Okay. Okay. So what was, where are you from again? Sorry.
I'm from Weathersfield, Connecticut.
Okay. So what was life like in Weathersfield before music really took full grasp of you?
Yeah, so it was cool. Like basically throughout the early years of high school, I did track and field and I was also in the marching band. So that's kind of like music has always been there, like listening to music prior in life and everything.
Yeah.
But throughout high school, I was in the marching band. So that's when I kind of like figured out how to, just like music theory and stuff and how to break down music as opposed to just consuming it like song by song.
Yeah.
So I had that knowledge going into rapping, which like in terms of rapping, you use a lot of different like, for example, a certain flow can be a certain like number of 16 notes, like quarter notes and all that.
Yeah.
So that helped me like leading up to it. But I did track and field. I played basketball for a few, but
Nice. Yeah.
those early years were just like basically building connections and kind of just like figuring out who I was as a person, like what I liked and stuff, before heading off to college.
Nice. And where did you go to college?
I went to the University of Hartford for 4 years.
Nice. And you got your business degree there, right?
Yep, business management.
Nice. So talk about how that's kind of helped you with your professional part of the career.
Oh, definitely. Like for example, branding.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff I learned like from college, I translated directly into my music, which has been nice because like when you're in school, it's tough to really like stay engaged if it's something you don't really care about, you're not passionate for it.
Hmm.
So by going to school for business management, but within that I took a bunch of marketing classes, I would actually be engaged like, okay, let me learn how to do this and then just apply that to what I'm doing like on the other side, which made the college experience pretty fun on both ends.
Yeah, that's great. That's something that I think a lot of people need to do. They need to tie their business end with their hobby because like you said, you got really involved with the classes. It's like, all right, if I know this is going to help what I want to do in the future, it's just going to propel you to new heights.
Right, right,
That's great.
definitely.
So what was like the initial reaction to your music from your friends back in Weathersfield?
So when I first started putting out music, like I think the first actual song I put out was the Dear Life remix,
Yeah.
which was basically a remix to Drake's Pound Cake. And once I put that out, it actually got like surprisingly a lot of love. Like when I was starting out then, it was really just about saying, okay, I like this song, I like the beat. Can I do something that sounds even legible on that?
Yeah.
So it was really a time of just like learning the craft itself and figuring out how to do that. That was before I made any original music. But once that came out, people really liked it and they were like, okay, he may be like onto something. People knew I was in the developmental phase, but they're like, okay, he can put something together. Like he has the concepts, you know what I
Spotting talent from early on.
mean? Right, right, right. So people from there, they've had their eyes on me. And a lot of people mentioned like the growth, which I'm very thankful to have like, grown within myself and also have people acknowledge that. So
Yeah, no, definitely. I saw a lot of growth going from what was your first project before BOA?
before Boa, the Up Next album
Up
was my
Next.
first project.
Yep. I saw a lot of growth going from Up Next to BOA. It was just like a
Yeah,
crazy amount. And that was only in 1 year, right?
right, right. Yeah.
Nice. So what happens after Dear Life? Is it do you start making original music there? Do you start really just going down remixes? What was your mindset?
Mhm. Basically, from there, I did a lot of like, well, prior to even considering rapping, I did a lot of poetry when I was younger. So learning like similes and all that kind of stuff and like metaphors just gave me a perspective on how to use words to say like certain things. So that time was really about just constructing the craft and like figuring out how to put rhymes together, but also add a little bit of like lyricism into it,
Yeah.
because that's pretty much the music I listened to coming up, was like lyricism and stuff, and like J. Cole's and the Eminems and Kanye's, all those. Um, so I knew that that was kind of the avenue I wanted to go.
Yeah.
So in order to get to that level, I knew I had to understand like the craft at the beginning. So that was pretty much it. And I did that throughout remixes because, you know, like as an upcoming artist, it's hard to kind of have a producer and like start building the chemistry that you want to do at an early phase. So from there, I just wanted to put any kind of content out that I could, so that I could come up to a producer like, hey, I can do this. I just need someone behind me to like take it to the next level and start doing original stuff.
That's great. Yep. I completely agree. So
Yeah.
what inspired you to call yourself Adversity? Because I remember you had a previous name. Was it OG Brandon?
Yes, sir. You did your research, bro. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
hmm So yeah, the prior name to Adversity was OG Brandon Johnson, and that was just how did that even start, man? That was early high school, like sophomore year, and it
Yep.
was around when Bobby Shmurda he did the OG Bobby Johnson, that track. I believe that was Shmurda, but whatever, whoever put that song out, the OG
Yeah.
Bobby Johnson track. And once everyone heard that track, they were like, "Oh, OG Brandon Johnson. Let's just replace that and call him that." So that started out like a joke, and I was just like, "Okay, people know me for that in high school, so let me just use that for the
Yeah.
beginning parts of the remixes to keep it like translucent."
So was Dear Life under OG Brandon Johnson or was it under Adversity?
Dear Life, from that point, I was Adversity.
Okay.
But everything prior to that, like all the stuff on my SoundCloud prior to that, was OG Brandon Johnson.
Nice. It's always good to look back and reminisce.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I just looked up. It says that that song was made by, I don't know how to say his name. I think it's Q, is Q-U-E or Quay.
Clay. Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You remember
Something
him?
like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, but at that time, Bobby was popping too, so I thought he made that. Dang.
Yeah. Yeah, 2013, right around the same time.
Right, right, right. Yep.
Nice. All right. So let's see.
Oh shoot, wait, bro. I didn't even answer that question. You said, how did I come up with adversity?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um, I went all the way back prior to that. But yeah, how I came up with that was basically I wanted a name that kind of tied my like personal life
Hmm.
prior to rapping to the next part of my life when I focused on that, but without like being more on both sides. Like I wanted it to fit perfectly like a bridge. And adversity was just something like coming up, I it was a theme, you know, like you go through hardships, everyone's got their stuff. But I felt like a lot of the times I went through those hardest moments was like the points where I grew the most and like gained a lot more knowledge.
Hmm.
So in that sense, I figured out that like prior to rapping and the whole progress up to where I'm at, like even today, I'm still learning. But every time you just learn something new and it's like a level up almost. So I wanted to use that bridge between the personal and the professional, and it was basically adversity. I liked how it fit, and it was something that I went through as a person, and that made me the person who I want to be in terms of rapping.
Really fits the brand. Speaking of
Yeah.
brands, I know previously you had a clothing line that you were going through. Do you still have that
Yeah, we're
operating?
still making merch. Yeah, but we just right now we're in a phase where we want to do everything in house. So
Yeah,
there's a lot of preparation and kind of planning that goes into that. And everything that's going on now has made, you know, manufacturing a lot harder. So we're kind of at it like at a standstill for that. But we are in the progress of like making the next step of merch. And we got some designs that we want to put out and we're excited to.
nice.
Yeah.
So we've all been in quarantine for what? It feels like 6 months,
Man.
but
So it feels like forever, bro.
too long. But how have you been using quarantine to strengthen your craft?
Right. That's a good question. So I really haven't been recording as much because it's been almost impossible to get studio time with everything going on.
Hmm.
But the time I got, I think throughout quarantine, I got like 4 or 5 sessions in. I snuck in. But one of those, I put that snippet on my Instagram. It was a new original song, and it's gonna be called "Pray to Be Up." But
Yeah.
we recorded that one, And that was one of the ones I sat like throughout quarantine. I just had a beat kind of sitting in the vault, and I was like, let me just sit down and write a track. Like we don't got nothing else to do. And that one came together, and I liked how it came. So I wanted to jump on it and record it while it was fresh in my head instead of waiting. But I've been doing a lot of writing and making a lot more original music. That's really what this year is going to be focused on.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a lot of singles. I can tell you that much. There's going to be a project in the works, but
Yeah.
I'm really focusing on putting out singles just to keep people on their toes.
Stay consistent with it. Build
Yeah,
a
right,
fan
right.
base. I like that. And you just released, was it the Czech music video came out, what, today, yesterday, something like that?
Came out yesterday, yeah, Friday. Yeah, that was something it was almost impossible to get that video done. We
Yeah.
really had, because obviously we did it through quarantine. I even had the mask on like in certain parts of the video. And we just did that just as a timestamp to like, look back on it and be like, we put that whole video together throughout the quarantine. Which we're proud of, but it was tough. And once I put out the single, I dropped Check on streaming platforms on June 1st.
Yeah.
And once it came out, it was just a song it was just fun. And I realized that I really wanted to do a video to it just because it
Mhm.
had that kind of vibe. And I figured it would be something people would connect to and enjoy. So we threw that together in the middle of quarantine, and we're going to take it from here.
I love it, bro. So how much did you learn in between releasing Up Next and Boa? Because it seemed, what is there, like a year in between that process?
Yeah. Yeah. It was about a year.
So what was the biggest difference, would you say?
Oh, the biggest difference was I just did it more.
Hmm.
When I released Up Next, I was still kind of in those early phases where I kind of mentioned when I dropped Dear Life, people were like, okay, he's like, he can make something legible, but he's just gotta, tweak it a little bit, and then he's gonna be right there. And
Yeah.
Up Next was kind of a timestamp for that, where I was kind of displaying like, okay, I can do a lot of different things and keep like consistent pattern and consistent like theme to myself throughout an entire project, and have it all kind of speak and tell a story. So that was one of those steps people were like, okay, he's onto something. He could put together like a legible project. So then after that, once I realized that I could put stuff together like whenever I want to, then it was just about, okay, like really tightening the pen game and making my bars like tighter, different, cleaner cadences and all that. But it's just keep learning. Every track you make, you kind of learn something new. Like when you release, you're never satisfied. You're like, oh, that could have been different. We could have did that better. But you just keep taking those lessons and move forward and keep making sure that each track is better than the last.
What would you say has been the biggest lesson that you've learned in the studio after a track?
Ooh, definitely would be come prepared. Once you come prepared to a studio session, you can really take more time to like dive in and get things really crystal clear, as opposed to if you come like somewhat ready and then you're still changing bars and like figuring stuff out, like while you're at the mic. It's kind of like a professionality thing. It's like coming to class knowing your homework and reading the chapter that you're supposed to. Basically the
Yeah,
same thing.
I like that. So speaking of Boa again, uh, off of that 89.9 interview, you had said that Boa actually stands for multiple acronyms. And one
Hmm.
of them, was it Birth of Another, something like that?
Yep, Birth of Another.
So
Hmm.
what do they mean?
So basically, the three acronyms were branding our adversity, building our assets, and birth of another. Branding our adversity was kind of from like a bird's eye view perspective of myself, because people realize that there's a split, like there's branding and then their adversity, and people know they're not the same exact thing. Like you split the personal and business, but it's basically like, who do you know? Some people know me for my music and they're like, oh yeah, that's the rapper guy. Some people know me on a personal level. They've grown up with me and they know me in that way.
Mhm.
So it was kind of like a perspective thing, like which person do you know me by? Building our assets was kind of like just my family. Like I understand that music can take your financial level to a certain point, and of course, it's bigger than that. But there's an opportunity to take my family and put them in a place where they don't have to worry about anything financially. So that's obviously a motivator and something that's keep me driven throughout my process. So that was a theme that came across a lot in Boa. So while we were naming the project, I was like, that has to be something that fits in there somehow. And it just so happened that all three of them spelled out Boa, and it worked out. And Birth of Another is basically like the split between the process in high school, where I was, just like learning the personality, who I am, and what I like from there, all the way to, okay, I want to start rapping and what I have to do to take it there. There was a split, and I wanted to timestamp the project with that split because I talked a lot about both sides.
It seems like you're really big with timestamps. So talk about how
Hmm.
important those are to you.
That just ties back to what I said about progress. Like, you're always learning stuff. So, for example, in a certain song, I actually did it in an unreleased track. Um, like, you timestamp your age just because it's like, okay, well, I was this age, 20, I made this track, and this is what I sounded like. Kind of just stuff like that. It's cool to go back on memories and be able to tie into certain things musically.
That's awesome, bro. And since we're
Yeah.
still staying on Boa, I was listening to the intro. I listened to the whole project all the way through, but the
Right.
intro really intrigued me. So can you give me a little synopsis or summary of what was really explained in the intro?
Yeah, so basically that description of each acronym that I gave you, I just went really in depth, and I wanted to put together not a song. I just wanted something that would make the project make sense from that point forward. Like, I hit the last these are the snakes, and
And
then
it
it
goes
jumped
into
right into the
snakes.
project. Yeah.
Yeah,
So we wanted to just give you all the context as to what we wrote the project about and what we wanted it to sound like, and kind of what like formed it basically, and then from then on it's straight music.
bro, that's beautiful. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Of course. So, seeing a bunch of other artists in Connecticut, is there any CT artists that are like your favorites or that you would like to work with?
Oh, most def. I'm like, because of I like platforms like yours, I understand that there's a whole lot of talent in Connecticut. And I've just been very in tune with, the ones I come across as I, progress through the career. But there's a lot. Annoyed, that's like big bro. He's a
So
big
nice.
inspiration for sure. And he's a real down to earth dude. Like, he gives a lot of real insight. And he's someone for sure, as an upcoming lyricist in Connecticut, definitely someone I would have to look up to. And of course Webby, because he's taken his platform to such a huge level, and for someone to come out of Connecticut and do something like that, it's always somebody that's drives me and stuff. But there's also artists like, kind of, like my level, where we're kind of still putting out singles and getting your platform to a bigger fan base, like Reggie Blue. I don't know if you know who he is. He's from East Hartford, I believe, but he
I'm
is
not sure.
solid. And
Send me
Reggie
a
Blue
link
is
of
a
his stuff after this.
definitely. He has a his newest single is like Honey Jack, I think. Honey Jack Freestyle or something. I'll send it to you after this, but he's
That
hard.
perfect.
Who else? Ian Matthew. He's
So
like,
good.
I'm yeah, he's really talented. I met him at a show I opened up for him one time in Torrington.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and I met him that day, and we've always been in touch. And he's someone, again, he has a really big platform. His numbers are ridiculous, and he's making these like crazy singles that are he's developing his fan base, and definitely someone I look up to again. Um, yeah, there's so many people like the Hartford area, Chill Shump, Mike Flows. There's so much talent in Connecticut, and that's why I like it. I'm trying to just go around and work with as many people as I can.
That's what I like to see, bro. That's what I like
Yeah,
to see.
definitely.
So now we're gonna get into the segment where we talk. I give you a song name, and then you talk about any memory that pops up in your mind.
Ooh.
So the first one is gonna be "Meant to Be."
Meant to be. Um, Obviously, the song is with my guy Steven Carlson. He's uh, he's a indie artist from Massachusetts. He's so versatile. I won't even say indie. He can do pop. He can do R&B. Like, he's a really talented singer, and I met him through UHeart. So we've been friends for a long time. And Meant to Be, we released our senior year, I believe. Yeah, our senior year, and it was something we knew was going to happen. We had to collaborate at some point, and it was around the summertime, and we wanted to just have something to capture that summer vibe.
Yeah,
And we wrote the song together. Then we went to the studio on campus, and it came out amazing. So yeah, just summertime vibes. That last year of college, that's pretty much the memory that comes to mind when you say meant to be.
Nice. What about energy?
Ha! Energy, hard. That's the first thing that comes to mind.
Yeah.
Rel, the artist I worked with on that track, another super talented upcoming artist. He's someone again that can do a lot. But we've been friends for a while, and I've been watching him. He's been watching me, and we kind of met through Jules Prince, who directs both of our videos, and we started hanging out more and stuff. And we both just have a very mutual respect of each other as an artist.
Hmm.
And I had an instrumental, just a random beat that I had sitting produced by Will Stenson. He produced a few of my other tracks
Okay.
prior, but I had a beat by him and it was just kind of sitting. And I listened to it and it was obviously the energy beat. And I was like, man, who would sound good on this? It has to be someone that like I have a lot of chemistry with, someone that could like kill a verse. And Ty came to mind, Tyrell. And
Yeah.
he came to mind, and once I like played the beat for him, I was like, bro, you think you could do something on this? He was like, this is over FaceTime. He was like, bro, give me like 20 minutes, and hung up FaceTime. I was like, all right. 20 minutes later, he calls me. He was like, I got that energy. Just took a shot at the hand. I was like,
Hey.
oh man. I was like, bro, we got to record this tonight. And we wrote the rest of the track and recorded it all that night. And I believe it was New Year's Eve. It was New Year's Eve. And that track was just so fun, man. And it came out way better than I would have ever expected.
Yeah. The vibes
That
were
was
right. You had to keep that energy going. You couldn't stop and
yeah,
try to do it another day.
definitely. So that track came together like that. That's definitely why we named it Energy.
Nice. What about Rah Rah?
Mm, rah rah. Um, Torres, he just comes to mind again because um, I kind of remember each song based on who I collab with because each one's a different vibe. And
Yeah.
in this situation, I had the beat for it, and I wrote both verses and recorded them. And from there, I was like, all right, I could do the hook, but I was like, I want someone that could really like bring this home and really like tie everything together. And Torres was someone again. I've been watching him and his label, Bag Season's label, or um, yeah, they've just been grinding. Him and
Hmm.
his brother JT, and I really like his sound. And I figured just on a song like that was like a club vibe. It was really fun, and it was more laid back than I'm used to. I usually do like super lyricism and like all these like complicated bars and stuff like that. So that was a track where I was just having fun, and I wanted an artist that could bring that same energy to it. And Torres fit the bill, and he killed that hook.
Cool. And then
Yeah.
the last one we got is one that you actually featured on, which is Over Dedicated.
Oh yeah, featuring that Versity and Note track. He he's he's a great artist too. I've been watching him for a while. We went to University of Hartford together,
Yeah.
and he was working on his project. And at that time, I believe I was in the process of working on Boa. But it was in the middle of the semester, and he got in touch with me through Instagram. He was like, "Bro, I have this song, and it's gonna be like the title track for my album, and I think you would like really do it. I just need a verse." So I met up with him at the studio on campus, and I listened to the. I think at that point he had the hook and his verse. And once I listened to it, I was like, yeah, bro, I could definitely slap a verse on that. We
Yeah.
went to the studio like the next week and we got it done. It was a good vibe. And I like the message he was going across. And it kind of ties with diversity. It's like you go through hardships, but over dedication, it's like you got to go above and beyond in terms of your work ethic to take this to where you're trying to take it. So that was a fun track to work on too.
That's a fact. Nice, bro. So, if you could collab with any artist, dead or alive, who would they be and why? And then on top of that, who would the producer be?
Wow, that is hard. Um, Man, we're talking from the stage I'm at right now, where I'm at in my career.
Yeah.
It would have to be J. Cole for sure,
Okay.
because he's been like my biggest inspiration in terms of my music. Because you figure 2014 Forest Hills Drive comes out, and that was right when, like, right before my senior year of high school, and it was the time where I was starting to transition, be like, okay, I could do this rapping thing. And that album really, that was just one of the cleanest albums, like beginning to end, that I had listened to, and I thought that was just amazing. I was like, I think I could definitely do something like that. and put my own message across. So for me to work with him, just the way that he basically sculpted my sound and I kind of just like molded myself around that, it it would, I don't even know how a track would sound with him, but I know for a fact it would be hard.
Nice.
And
And who would be the producer?
oh man, the producer, I would want somebody. Cole is, he's nasty, so he could spit on whatever beat. But I would want the producer to be someone that knows my sound and has worked with me before. So I would have to say King Quest, my
Okay.
boy Dwight. He produced Snakes, Draw the Line, and I believe that was it. And Keep My Name Out Your Mouth as a single, but he produced those two on Boa. And he just, again, we went to college together, and we have a great chemistry, and he really knows like how to like build a beat around what I sound like. So if he came at it with a hard beat and me and Cole could collab on some verses, man, I think that sky would be the limit, man.
Bro, I love that. Yeah, that I could see that collaboration going very well, especially with someone producing it that just has that chemistry with you, because you already know that Cole is going to have the chemistry with whoever in the studio.
Right,
It's Cole.
right,
But
yeah.
I like that. All right, I have another question for you. If you had the world's attention for 30 seconds, what would you say?
Mm, man, 30 seconds. What would I say? Um, I would I would just tell everyone to really just like just do whatever you're trying to do. Like whatever you put your mind to, if you really just grind it out and just like think about it, you can really put your mind to it and be open minded too. Like if you can see alternate perspectives, I go to you and see things from your perspective. Just trying to open your mind and just chase your dreams because really the sky's the limit after you do that. And
100%.
I think that people, like some people limit themselves and some people know where they're trying to go, but I really think I would just spread that message, just that energy, because it was something I never would have thought I would be doing, hip hop music and like actually putting out records. But it was something that came to my mind, and I created a business plan and started grinding and got it done. So I think anybody can do that in whatever avenue they're trying to do it in. I know that's longer than 30 seconds, but that was all the backstory as to why I would say
Of
that.
course. Yeah. So, what's some advice you'd give to somebody just starting their music career right now?
Mm, just just keep writing. Honestly, if there was an upcoming artist I saw and he's working on writing his first track, I'd be like, just put that pen to paper. You finish that track, start working on another one, because every track you put out, you just get better and better and better. If you can get a bag of 200 songs that you have made at from song 1 to song 200, there's going to be absolute growth. Don't know how much, don't know how little, but there's going to be growth. So if you just keep cooking up tracks, sky's the limit.
Or so, what's next for you in your career?
What's next? Honestly, I'm at the point where I understand that I can, like I can make songs and I can do like I can do special things on the track. So I really want to focus on just expanding the fan base and being able to put my music in as many ears as possible and spread a positive message along the way. I'm just trying to inspire people as I go and take this thing as far as I can take it.
Love that. So, where do you see yourself in 1 year, 5 year, and 10 years, wherever you take this?
Man, I really don't know. I look long term like that, but it's just divine timing. I just look at such a kind of day to day. I just grind this out, grind this out, grind this out. I know that one day something's gonna click. But in a year, every year I try to just at least double my numbers, and double the records I put out. So that's what I'm saying. By each time stamp, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, I plan on having a lot of music under my bag. I'm trying to just double and then triple my catalog as the years pass. So I just want to have like a wide variety of music that I could present to anybody.
Nice. Well, thank you, bro. Is there any more shout outs you want to give out before we end today's interview?
Shout outs. Shout out to all the artists I work with. Let me see, Nathan Murphy, uh, Emily Mark, um, Jules Prince does all my music videos. Will Stenson, a producer that I've grown with and got to work with a lot. King Quest, another producer. Um, Tox is a producer. My cousin actually, he's in the process of brand building and developing his sound, but I see a lot of potential in him, and I think once he gets all the pieces together, he's going to be someone in the industry. So Tox, everyone get familiar with that name, and Weathersfield in total, just that's the town that made me. So I want to represent them and Hartford as well because my mom's from Hartford, and she's obviously a big factor in making me who I am. And there's a lot of inspiration in her. So I want to take, you know, my area and put us on the map.
Hey, well, thank you very much, bro. Thank you for coming on.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course, man.